Hi. I don't like. I have a certain quietness about me in public. I'm certainly quiet, especially if I'm around newer people. It's kind of scary to be around newer people. I'd say what's difficult about being around newer people is just that. Uh, is just that I don't see myself as equal with them right away, or there's at least something that's different about me to them. Probably that I'm a Christian. Probably that I'm mostly Christian, but like because I'm a Christian, I'm pretty polite. I never stop being polite, but it's just because what is aggression, right? It's just because what is aggression is kind of a question that I have to deal with. That I would be aggressive in the world. There's not aggression for me to have because I'm polite, because I don't trespass, I don't transgress, I don't infringe on anybody's territory, because other people's territory isn't to be infringed on, and it's not like I'm a person like they are so as to infringe on their territory. Why would I understand myself to be able to infringe on their territory? I mean, God might not want me to infringe on the territory of somebody else or go too far talking to them or conversing with them. I don't want to be assimilated into the world, but it's like, but I'm not, as long as I'm not, because I'm a Christian and I'm separate from the world. I'm separate from people. I go to a job and full of secular people, and that's a title. That's something that I can call them, but it's something I would give a name to those secular people because they're secular, because they're different from me, because they're from the world where I am from a different world, which is Christianity. But where there's secular people in a job and just a workplace that exists out, a secular workplace full of secular people, made by secular people for the purposes of secularity, for the purposes of for it to participate in the world, like this secular environment. Like I enter into secular environments, and that's not going to be easy for me. You think you expect me to thrive in a secular environment? No, I'm going to not share myself with that environment because I'm separate from it. Um, no, yeah, no, I'm not going to, and I will not deal with the people in the secular environment. But like that's just naturally I'm polite. But in actuality, all that they would see is that I'm polite, even though to me it feels like I transgress with everything I do because there's not around other people, around secular people. It feels like I'm infringing all the time, or that I'm doing all the worst things, or I'm stepping out of line because because I put pressure on myself to not step out of line and to remain separate from people when it's difficult to remain separate from them all the time. That's something that I got to do. I got to maintain my separateness because I am separate from the people around me. I go and talk to a bunch of regular people. As far as I know, they just identify themselves as regular people, but I am separate from them because I'm a Christian. I'm not myself. I'm not a human. I'm not a regular person. I'm a Christian among non-Christians. And so that makes me different from them. And so I separate myself from them because that's what's necessary. But it's just already the case. But it's already known that I'm different from them. And to the extent that they don't know I'm different from them, they will understand eventually that I'm different from them. Not because of not because of anything that I'm trying to do, but just because of my manner and my inherent politeness, and just because I'm see myself as being able to talk less than everybody else in the group, and so that shows itself at some point. But it should show itself at some point because I am different from them in some way. I'm kind of different, and they should see me as different, and they should see me in a certain way where I am particular or more special because I am more special, because I'm maintaining a speciality through my separateness from them, so that I might be recognized as different because I'm already. But because I maintain that about myself just shows that I aim to be unique, or I aim to have a higher standard about myself, but it's just automatically that I'm separate from any group of regular people that just identify as themselves. So then I come across as some sort of absolutely polite or abnormally polite. Like people in reality probably just think I was raised by my grandparents or something. With the amount of aggression that I don't have, or that there's something wrong with me, or that I lack testosterone. But I lack testosterone, or I appear to lack testosterone just because I'm a Christian, though. I mean, that's mostly the case. But like, because I don't aim to appear aggressive in any way, I don't aim to cross anybody's boundaries. I'm just passively up to the whims of other people, except that don't wrong me, though, because if you do wrong me, I'm kind of like more special. That you would, if you wrong me, there's not really, I wouldn't say there's anybody that can wrong me, because I'm you shouldn't wrong me because I'm more sacred than you. Like, that you would wrong me, that means you're harming me and you're harming lots of other people, because I am meant to have more influence than other people just based on my separateness. But that's just because it's already true that God has a plan for my life, and but like, God has a plan for my life. He's already laid it out for me. I have special things to take on, and the world waits on my decisions is the thing. So you can't affect me negatively. You can't cross me or do me wrong, because I'm more important. It affects more people. You should be thinking about all the people that you're affecting by affecting me, because I already represent more than just a person. I represent lots of people, and my words and my actions affect everybody instantly. They affect so many people, and I have to go around thinking about that everything I say affects everybody drastically, and that I don't just say things and do things like a person does. I'm not like those people that I like, friends, like people that I might make friends with in a secular workplace. I'm not like them because I'm not going to do regular things and average things out in the world. I'm not just going to drive my truck to the pet store just to pick something up. I mean, I'm not just driving my car around. There's reasons for me driving my car around. Like there's things like the world is looking at me to drive my car around. They need me to do that, or they don't need me to do that, but I have to figure it out. Either way, it's affecting lots of people. Like, driving my car is an absolute. It's not just something I did. I'm not just an average person walking around in the world. Yeah, like driving my car, that's a meaningful experience, because if I don't do it right, like I need to figure out how to drive my car, where to drive my car, what I'm doing in any moment. Like, each day is just I have to figure out how to not influence all these people incorrectly, like that they're gonna hear me and go insane or something, because everything I do has huge ramifications. Everything I do has big results. Everything, I mean, it's going to result in something. And the problem is, it's just that, like, the other people in a secular workplace, or like friends, like I'm invited to a party, there's secular people there that aren't Christian. What they don't understand is that I'm on a mission at all times, but I have to keep the mission up, and there's lots of pressure on me to keep it up. And I have to be, what they don't understand is that I have to be a stronger person than them, and I have to be better. I have to be a better person at all times, because I'm a good person. What they don't understand is that I'm a good person, unlike them. But that's just what I maintain and what I already am. What they fail to realize is that I'm a good person, that the weight of the world is on my shoulders, and the world waits on my decisions, and I have the world to please. I can't just go out into the street. I can't just start doing things, because I have to consider how it affects the entire world, because I'm a Christian, though. Because I'm a Christian, the things I do, I'm not just doing regular things. Everything is very, very important to me. And like, even I can't do a regular thing. Like, I'm not living a regular thing if I'm like, I go out onto my balcony and I'm talking. If I say something to my dog because he's whining, like my dog is whining, and I tell him to shut up or something, what happens is I have to. It's kind of like everything I do is a play of some kind. Like, everything is a little drama that I act out, no matter what happens. Because when I say something to my dog, it's not that I said something to my dog. It's that I'm starting some sort of play. I'm starting some sort of production where I have to continue saying things to my dog that were in line with what I already said, because the people in the apartments around me probably heard me say something to my dog, and so I have to carry out the play thinking about saying phrases to my dog that were in line with what I originally said, so that other people will understand me to be a regular person. Because I'm not just because I didn't just say something to my dog, I have to carry that out. I have to continue to prove that I'm just a regular guy saying something to my dog, and I have to think about how my actions could be perceived while I'm doing them. Like, I have to think about the way that other people are perceiving my actions as I'm doing them, and if, like, but those are my actions at all. I'm kind of just always in a play, and but I'm always in a play because I gotta. So, like, when I say that to my dog, then I think about what somebody in that position would say next. What is something that, like, my dog is whining and I'm like, Ziggy, be quiet. But then I have to build up a character from it. Like, oh, who's the Ziggy be quiet guy? Because that wasn't a person that said that. That was just like something that somebody could see. And that was just something that somebody heard say. That wasn't something that anybody did. I didn't say that to my dog. That was just that the whole purpose of me saying it was that maybe it was heard by other people, and that's the only way that it possibly exists. Is that maybe it was heard by other people, and so long as I'm living it through the listening ears of other people, I'm going to continue the act so that it continues to be a viable character, or so that I can gain the respect of being that. I mean, but it's something I have to prove that I am. It's not something that I am. So I have to continue to prove it. So I have to do things in line with what that character would do. So then I got to think about what would that person say next, or like they're contrived, like they're contrived. My actions are contrived. Like contrived. What's contrived about it? Well, it's contrived. How do I integrate this word contrived? Like, my actions are contrived from me. They're contrived because they're derivative of. I mean, they're contrived from what I would imagine my actions would be. My actions aren't my own. They're just contrived from the perspective of other people's imaginations. So, like, maybe another person isn't going to be able to imagine me to just be myself or a person. They're only going to be able to imagine me to be like somebody that they've seen before. Like, I always have to try to be like somebody that the other people around me have seen before, because I'm not myself, because they can't see me as myself, because I don't understand them to have an open enough imagination to see me as myself. I don't even understand people to have imaginations. I think that everybody's trying to have an imagination because I'm a Christian. I think that everybody exists at a level where they're trying to have an imagination rather than that they already have one. I don't give other people the respect of them just having an imagination so as to include me in theirs. All I know is that other people's imaginations aren't capable of imagining, or are very limited in imagining, and so the only way that they could see me is if I do something that they've seen somebody else do. Like, the person that I am around other people is just the person I am around other people is, hopefully, if all goes according to plan, as a Christian, matching up perfectly with actions that people have already seen, with actions that have already happened in the minds of other people. So I'm trying to play out what is a character that is common to everybody, so that people can maybe see me as a person, because I kind of have to keep proving that I'm a person, because I'm not one, because I'm not one already, but that's just part of that I am separate from them already, and so you would only ever see me a certain way, or see me a way that I'm trying to get you to see me. Or it's kind of like, as I'm performing, like as long as I'm deciding to be a performer, everything I do is just a play. It can just be any conversation that I start with anybody. Like whatever first words come out of my mouth, I have to keep being that, or else I'm going to, I have to keep being somebody in line with, like somebody who would have said whatever first thing that came out of my mouth, because if I don't keep being that, then I won't exist to the people around me, because they won't be able to see me as a person. Because if I just did everything, I just reacted off of my own reactions, that's not going to exist to them. That's too much for them. That's like too, I mean, me, the way that I am, I'm already above them. Like my actions carry too much weight, and they're not going to be able to handle the way that I am. But like in actuality, what they see is somebody who's abnormally polite. But to me, my actions are the most flagrant thing possible. But to me, everything I do has a lot of weight to it, so that I should be worried about anything I do. And really anything I do is something I should consider shamefully when I look back on it, because it should be considered shamefully, seeing as that I wasn't able to please everybody in the world with my actions in that given moment, because shamefully I disappointed somebody in the world with the way that I was acting. But that's because I have to hold myself to the standard of pleasing the entire world with all of my actions. So in the world where other people might mistakenly see me as just a person and not the separated Christian that I am, they would probably just see that I am abnormally polite, or that I'm just like very careful or kind and compassionate or gentle, and like very gentle. I'm a very gentle person. I'm a Christian. I don't trespass against anybody. I'm not gonna get into a fight with anybody or anything like that. I mean, not accidentally, first of all. Like I'm not gonna let my anger or my emotions overtake me so that I get in a fight or anything like that. But besides that, like my anger isn't really a valid emotion, as long as I'm talking about my anger. Like if I have anger, it's not a valid emotion. I don't get angry at anybody or tell them off for anything or confront them for anything, because like to the extent that I'm angry is just to the extent that I'm lying to myself. If I'm angry, it's just because I'm lying to myself. Like I don't have real anger because I'm a Christian. Like I'm kind of above having real anger, but like if I would see myself as having real anger, I know that that's not real. Like that wherever it came from is just a place of conceit, like self-deceivingness. Like it came from I'm lying to myself if I'm saying that I'm angry, because I don't have the emotion anger. I don't react that way. Like other people in the world, they might get angry. Like they might have a fight with their wife. They might start yelling at their wife. They might or their spouse or girlfriend, their significant other. They might confront them on something. They might get angry. They might allow an outpouring of emotion, like anger that's really loud. Like they might get really loud and aggressive in a moment and get really angry at somebody, get really contentious. And maybe to the extent that they might start fighting them. Like they like other people in the world, they might give the appearance that they are about to fight you, or they might give the appearance that they are against you in some way, because other people in the world, they have the capacity to be a bad person. Like, so they might give the appearance that they're against you. Like other people in the world, they sometimes show that they're against people, but like I'm not like that, because I know that nobody's against anybody. I know that everybody agrees with everybody. I mean, I know that you're not supposed to be against anybody, and to the extent that you are, that's just you lying to yourself. Like you don't have an emotional system in place that causes you to naturally be against people. You're like, I'm a good person. I'm a Christian. Like I'm a good person. I don't do bad. I don't get bad to the extent that I would see myself as disagreeing with somebody else. Like everybody is a good like we're all on the same page and we're supposed to agree. It's just that we're lying to ourselves, falsifying ourselves. If we say that if I were to say that I had anger, because my anger isn't real, because that's just me making stuff up, and that's me being a sinner or a bad person or being contentious unnecessarily, because contention doesn't exist. Anger doesn't exist. Anger doesn't exist for me because that's not real. Like I'm not I'm not a person who could yell at their girlfriend. I'm not a person who could get angry at them or have a fight with them. Like, I am on the same page as them. I only want the best, and that means that I understand that they're only a good person and that we're always trying to appease each other. Like, of course I'm just trying. Of course I don't have anger as an emotion, and of course I wouldn't fight somebody. Like, besides that, I wouldn't let my emotions overcome me to allow me to fight somebody. Like, I'm not gonna have a fight with somebody like as a hobby or anything, or like just for fun or anything like that. I'm not gonna have a fight because like I'm not gonna have a fight. That doesn't really exist. Fighting, like, I'm not even allowed to hit somebody. I'm, of course, like, I'm not gonna infringe. I'm not allowed to touch somebody else in any way, let alone punch them. I mean, I'm not gonna like other people. They're not to be trespassed on in any sort of way. And no, like, I'm not allowed to punch somebody. I'm not allowed to kick somebody. So of course I'm not going to have a fight with somebody else. And also, if I like having a fight with somebody else, that might lead to, like, what if I lost? So what if I lost? Like, I'm not going to face objective failure or humiliation. I'm not even worth that. I'm not worth, like, full failure. Like, I can't fully embarrass myself. I'm not going to I mean, I'm a Christian. I don't deal with embarrassment. There's no embarrassment for me. Like, I'm a Christian. I'm so Christian. I've sung on the stage on the worship team because I'm chosen by God to be special and part of the show of the whole thing. Like, I was chosen to be part of one of the people that performs the thing that God wants me to on the stage for other people. I mean, like, I lead people in the God worshiping. Like, I've led people in the God worshiping, and I've sung on the stage, and there isn't really, like, other people aren't supposed to read any sort of embarrassment to what I'm doing singing on the stage. There's an embarrassment singing on the stage. There isn't embarrassment up there, because the people in the audience know that I am chosen to be up there. Like, there's nothing embarrassing about being chosen and being special and being unique. There's nothing embarrassing about that because I'm already separated. Like, that takes all the embarrassment out of the situation. Like, the embarrassment is already, like, up front or something like that. But there isn't embarrassment as long as, like, people seeing me singing know that I'm chosen to do that. Like, I have a special talent, and God has made it so that I'm to sing on the stage and have influence in that way. But, like, the same thing correlates to when I'm in a secular workplace, because as being a Christian, like, the same thing correlates because I'm not embarrassing myself in a workplace. Like, I don't embarrass myself. I'm already above everybody. Like, it's understood that I'm not to be embarrassed. And, like, if I do embarrass myself, like, I've sung on the stage before and not come in on the song when I was supposed to, like, fucked up the song, did it a number of times, fucked up the song, fucked up coming in when I was supposed to. And that's like, that should be embarrassing. It's just that if that does happen to me, that did happen to me, and I wouldn't have been able to process that anything embarrassing was happening to me. I'm not able to process embarrassment being a Christian. And so, to the extent that I think about that I fucked up on the stage as being a Christian when I'm supposed to do everything correctly, being God's chosen person, like, maybe, like, I fuck up on the stage, maybe God didn't choose me. Maybe I should just get off the stage. Like, if I screwed up one time, like, that kind of shows that I'm imperfect enough to, like, that maybe something's wrong with the whole picture, like that maybe God doesn't mean for me to be the talented person. But, like, to the extent that I do fuck up and that, like, is something I wasn't supposed to do, I'm not going to process it as embarrassment because I don't have the capacity to be objectively embarrassed. I process it as, like, well, I guess I don't really exist. But, like, to the extent that I was embarrassed, that's just translated into gossip for people when they go back to their houses, as long as they're Christians. Like, if they were Christians, then my embarrassment it's just translated into their gossip in hidden places. Like, my embarrassment is hidden in the closed groups that are gossiping about me. It doesn't get put out into the open. I'm not going to be confronted about being a screw up, or that it's something that I have to correct in my life, or that there's a reason to try to correct it. Like, there isn't any reason to try to correct that I fucked up. It's just that I'm chosen by God to be on the stage, or I'm not. And if the fuck ups continue, I guess, like, I'm not really chosen by God. And but like, to the extent that I'm embarrassed, like, I can't process that. I only process it as like, well, I guess, like, like, for maybe 2 weeks after I fucked up on the stage, I'm thinking about it every day. But like, because I can't just process it as a mistake that I made, because I'm not a person who makes mistakes. I don't make mistakes. I'm just like, I'm just trying to figure out what God has chosen for me, and like, not trusting God enough if it appears, if imperfections manifest themselves in my life, then I'm not trusting God enough, you know. If mistakes continue to appear, because mistakes are not, I don't intersect with mistakes, and so if I do make mistakes, that's not something I can really process. It's really just, I have to figure out why I don't exist in the world at all. I have to figure out why I'm some sort of glitch in reality if I make a mistake, because I'm not really allowed to process a mistake as a Christian, or a big one, because that doesn't make sense with my entire reality, because I'm not supposed to intersect with mistakes because I'm a good person. I mean, I don't get overly transgressory. Like, I don't get overly that I cross boundaries or fuck up or start like acting like a human. I don't get overly human in anything that I do. Like, there's not, but like, I don't recognize myself to be human. I'm a Christian. I'm not Matthew Connor. I'm just a Christian. I'm something more than that. Like, I'm Christ-like, where Christ is God. So like, I don't recognize or process my own humanity or my own embarrassment, because to the extent that I do, like, I'm not gonna start admitting that I would be human or engage in a reality where I'm human. Because it doesn't make sense. I mean, as long as I'm a Christian, I'm not a human. So like, I don't get to process things that would just make me human, or things that would make me finite, or things that are just a task that I'm doing in a regular day. Like, a task I do in a regular day doesn't coincide with my humanness, or that I'm just doing something for some inane purpose, like that I'm just doing something that doesn't mean anything. The things I do mean something every single time. Like, everything I do means something, and like, that's part of what makes me special. But like, and that I have so much influence through just any of my actions, and how much effect that I have through everything that I do, and my words and actions affect so many people. Like I'm not going to be able to process my humanity, because I'm trying to be like God, but I'm supposed to be more perfect. And but like, to the extent that I have emotions, I mean, I don't really validate my own emotions, because my emotions are silly and whimsical and human. But like, out of the heart, from the heart comes like all evil things, you know. The heart is desperately wicked and deceitful above all things, or something like that. The heart is desperately wicked. Like, my emotions are wicked. What I want to do is wicked. That I would in myself consider pathways that are outside of Christianity, or outside of what God wants, or I would say something that's just a reaction in and of myself, and isn't something that's in agreement with the Christian church already. That I would say things that aren't already in agreement with the Christian church when I know what the Christian church wants me to say. That's just like the evilness in my heart. That's the evilness in my heart, that I would entertain information that exists outside of the Christian reality and try to integrate that into my own. It's just because my heart is desperately trying to get back to the world. But I have to separate myself from the world, so that I maintain that I am special, so that I maintain that I get to be a stronger person, that I'm a better person, that I get to be a good person. Like, I have to be dignified in that way. I have to be separated. I designated myself to be a very good person for all of my life, and I'm not going to cross over into humanity and start to be somebody that is good and bad, or somebody that's finite. I'm not going to be somebody that's finite. I'm all the way good. And to the extent that I'm entertaining humanity, then I'm pretty much just absolutely evil. That is absolutely evil. I understand, I'll understand it as absolutes. That's just what I'll think if I start to be somebody who is like the world, when I'm supposed to be a Christian, that makes it so that I'm absolutely evil because I'm absolutely defying God's orders to stay within absolute goodness. Like if I become a bad person as being a Christian when I already know the Christian way, then I'm basically going to be absolutely evil because that's all that it is for me. Like you'll be absolutely evil if you walk away from Christianity. Yeah, if I started like the thing is I'm not gonna like wear the clothes that I want to wear or anything like that. I'm not going to sexualize myself in any way or show that I want attention. Like you're wanting attention is evil, but like showing something about yourself externally that other people are supposed to see, like that's evil. That I would wear clothes that would point to that I have some sort of sexual identity. That's like I'm not in that business. I'm not going to infringe on other people's territories, by wearing the clothes that I want to. Because what am I trying to do? Obviously, I'm pointing to something like that's very vain of me to wear a shirt with no sleeves. Like, am I trying to point to my arms or say that my arms or something? Say that my arms exist in the world? Like, do I want to point to my body in any way? Or show that I have one? Like that's obviously like everybody knows what you're doing. Like are you trying to point to that you have a physical body? Like I'm a Christian. I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna wear the clothes that I want to because it might lead to me embarrassing myself in some way or exposing myself or being more vulnerable enough to show people that I'm wearing the clothes that I want to. Like I don't want to show people what I want. Like my wants are, but it's not just the clothes that I wear, it's the things that I say. Like the things that I say have a certain nudity about them. Also, they're very vulnerable. Like you don't say things that are exemplary, that are representative of your imagination, your own responsibility, your own reactions, your own individuality, because that's like nudity. You're like I'm a Christian, I don't show my own individuality. Like I don't react the way that I would as an individual. Like my individuality is God's, and so I have to figure out what God wants me to do. Like I'm subject to somebody else or to God. I have to figure out what he wants me to do. So it's like what I react as is not what I react as. Like that's vulnerable. That exposes me to be something other than what is contrived, to be something other than what people already know people to be. If I start being something that if I start showing something about myself that's individual to myself by what I say honestly, like I react honestly to something, then like people have the chance to see my emotions for what they are. People have a chance to see my emotions and understand my emotions, but like I'm not going to reveal my emotions. I don't really have them. That I have emotions, like that's not a good thing to be showing. Like I'm not showing that I like my badness, like what is true about me individually. Because that's like nudity, but that's the same reason why I'm more flagrant anytime I do anything, or why other people can't take my actions, is because my nudity is more important than their nudity, whether in speech or in representation or in appearance. Like I'm nudity. I'm basically like, yeah, but like if I wear a shirt that doesn't have arms with it, like other people can do that and that's just a regular person doing that, but because I'm special, like I'm pretty much a sex symbol automatically. I'm a sex symbol if I reveal myself in any way, because what like my revealing is too much for people, because like God doesn't reveal himself, God doesn't reveal himself. He keeps himself. God is too much for people. God doesn't reveal himself. You know that? Like I'm always trying to figure out what God wants me to do, but God doesn't reveal himself. I'm trying to be like God. I don't reveal myself. Like there's more to me. There's more to me. The same way that there's more to God. Like because I want to be like God, there is more to me. So I'm not revealing what I am in any given moment. Like I'm more special. I have more infinite qualities. Like I'm more powerful than the people around me. I'm not revealing who I am in any given moment. I'm not just giving that away like I'm some sort of slut. Like I don't dress like a regular person. Like I'm a slut because I have to reveal myself in a particular way that is in line with a certain plan that gets laid out every day of my life. Like there's a certain plan that I'm carrying out with my relationships with people. Because there's more romanticism with my relationships. There's more absoluteness to live up to. There's more of a story that has to have a perfect ending for all of my relationships. So I have to reveal it slowly, the same way God reveals himself slowly to me, because that's what God does. But because I'm like God, I don't give myself away all at once. But that would be like exposure or anything like that. Like if somebody, like being a Christian, you'll see this sometimes. Somebody dresses slutty in church. Like that kind of embarrassment is just going to be translated. The only place that embarrassment exists is in hidden places, where in closed off places where that person doesn't get confronted with the exposure that they undignifyingly show to everybody, like that they embarrassingly just embarrass themselves with. Well, like that's going to be translated to gossip, like speech out of other people's mouths talking about the person, like because of their unnecessary level of embarrassment. But like that kind of embarrassment doesn't exist. Like they're not going to be confronted with it. We're not going to give power to that embarrassment or say that that person is being a person by dressing the way that they want to. Like we're not going to validate another person's wants and say that, like, oh, they dress slutty in church because they just wanted to, because they're a person that dresses slutty in church, the same way that they're equal with everybody else. Like they embarrass themselves, so they're not equal with everybody else. They embarrass themselves, but like because I'm a Christian, I'm not really going to I don't process that kind of embarrassment as if it was just like something that a regular person did. Like that, like I'm not really able to approach that kind of embarrassment, that person is doing what they want to, like, and I'm not, that you're giving power to that you want sex, like, but like I'm a Christian, I don't give power to that I want sex or that I want anything. Like, could you imagine if other people knew what I wanted? Could you imagine if I, as being a Christian, like I don't share what I want. Like what I want is kind of dirty, like, and it should be hidden. Like I don't do what I want. Other people don't see what I want. I'm supposed to carry out a romantic relationship with them where they'll be my best friend in 20 years after we've finally revealed all honest things about ourselves. Like my best friend, like that's a literal for me. If I have a best friend, my best friend they are the best, and I expect the best out of them. Like they're the best friend and they're the best possible friend, because my story is more absolute than other people's stories. So like if I have a best friend, it's even more of a best friend than other people's best friends, because my story is really special. Like my story is very special. My best friends, my family, it's like it's all headed towards some really perfect ending where all of our influence is finally manifested in the world, and we can finally see all of our influence. And like my best friends are my best friends, but they're, if I have a best friend, they are literally the best. Like they have to live up to that level of best, because the people that I hang out with are perfect. They're more absolute. Like they're more like me, but they're special. But they're just Christians. Like I hang out with Christians. Like as long as I'm hanging out with Christians, I'm hanging out with people that maintain that higher level of a speciality, so that my best friends are like, they're actually the best or whatever. And but I expect the best out of people and the best out of myself, and the best is all that there is. Like there isn't imperfection. There isn't not the best. There is only the best. Like the best out of people. The people around me should live to be the best, because they're always good. They're not living so as to flippantly reveal to other people what they want. Like I'm not going to play my cards in any sort of way. I'm not forthcoming. Like I'm always hidden in all that I do. And because I'm not going to start validating my emotions in the world or see them manifested externally, I'm not going to see myself manifested externally. I'm slowly becoming what I'm becoming, and I'm becoming that every step of the way. And every step of the way is very important. And if I screw up any one of the steps, then I'm not becoming what I'm becoming. But like as a Christian, I'm always becoming something. I'm not something. Like I'm always becoming is part of why I'm always in a play. I'm always performing in the meantime, so that like eventually whatever is special about me is going to totally blow everybody's minds. But like whatever is special about me is about to blow everybody's minds, but not right now, because but like I expect the best out of people, and I don't understand humanity in other people. Like I understand the best in other people. I don't understand controversy in other people, or that they disagree with me. I don't really get disagreement with other people. And to the extent that somebody's disagreeing with me, then they just don't understand the way that life is supposed to play out. And so I don't really have time for them. Like I'm not going to recognize somebody else's disagreement, because as a Christian, to the extent that somebody else is disagreeing with me, they're just a liar, or they're denying God's truth. Because there's not because if they disagree with me, they're disagreeing with God because I represent God. But what they don't realize is that they're not supposed to disagree with me because I'm more special, because I have a more important path to figure out in my life. And so like disagreements with me don't really exist. I don't really recognize that because I expect because if they're disagreeing with me, then that's just like their individuality coming up with some nonsense that like they're just revealing their wants. They're just revealing their wants provocatively, like just being a person. Like I don't recognize that you just have wants and desires and angers, disagreements with other people because you're a person. Like I don't really carry myself that way. And yeah, like everything's kind of a play, and like I gotta make sure that I'm doing all the right things for other people when they see me. But that's just because I'm totally paranoid. But of course I'm paranoid. Like I'm separate from the world. I got to watch out for what the world's doing. But I'm as being separate from the world, where I'm a Christian, where most people aren't. Most people around me are just regular people. And because I am Christian, and that kind of makes it so that I have to figure out. I always see myself as the most Christian, but as long as I aspire to be more of a Christian and more like God, is the more that I'm separate from the world, and the more paranoid that I am, is the more that I don't even see other Christians around me to be on the same page as me, because other Christians around me aren't as Christian as I am. I'm more Christian than other Christians, but like even if they are as Christian as me, I don't really know that. I don't have time to try to trust them or figure them out. So it's just like I don't need to commit hugely in action to my friends with other Christians, like, and to the extent that I do, like, I'll see them at Bible study, I'll see them at church or at Bible study or whatever the church functions, that God functions, the functions that are already orchestrated by God, because it's not really on me to make my own path about things or say that the story of the friendship that I have with my friends is like up to me at all, because it's already up to God. And so it's just kind of like meant for us to be Christians until we die. But it's understood that we're friends and perfect friends the entire time. So I don't really need, but it's just like, I'm committed to my paranoia because I have to maintain my separation from the world. And the more like God I am, the more that I'm separate from the world. But the more unique I am, the more I hold myself to the standard of not being like a person, is naturally what separates me the most from the rest of the world. But I got to maintain my paranoia even in just regular conversations with people in the world, because I have to be vigilant against what they're saying that will coerce me over to their side. And maybe not that they're intentionally trying to coerce me, but like just the things that they say are from the world. I have to keep in mind. So I have to be on guard to realize that I'm different from them at all times when I'm speaking, and say things that are of the identity of somebody who's separate. Like I have to say things so that people know that I'm different from them. And it's not necessarily that I have to say things, like people will just know that I'm different from me being there. And I communicate very heavily in body language as being a Christian, to let I very uncomfortably move myself around my seat and wherever I am, to make sure that I'm being polite and in line correctly with other people's realities, that I don't infringe on what other people think, or like that I don't do anything wrong or out of place. Like I really need to not be out of place in everything that I do, and that might mean that I uncomfortably move around my seat or walk around like a robot, or like with an inability to move my shoulders, so that I'm not out of place, or I don't look like I'm sexualizing myself in any way. Like I don't want to walk confidently as if I'm trying to attract attention of any kind. Like I don't really want to speak up for myself to the extent that it would like put the spotlight on me, or that somebody would notice that I'm attempting to be something. And like, so to the extent that I actually look like another person in the world, if I am doing what I want, or being vulnerable in any way, like that's way too much for anybody to take, right? That's way too flagrant. But like in reality, not necessarily as a Christian, in reality, what people see when I do something that I think is the most flagrant thing, they just see somebody being a regular person. And otherwise, just generally, my politeness as a Christian leads to other people thinking that I'm the boringest person on the planet in reality. Not that I'm better than them, but like as a Christian, I just know that I'm different from them. But that they should pick up on my nonverbal communication and understand that I'm different from them. Like other people see. That's the other thing, and part of my paranoia and my separation from other people is that, and that I'm special already and unique is that people understand every single body language that I put out there. They see that and make big assumptions on it, make big judgments on it. Like it causes a huge reaction just when I communicate non-verbally. Like that's how I communicate aggressively at all, is that I don't aggress in any way, is that I am passive. The way that I communicate aggressively is that I passively communicate non-verbally in a way that is just way over the top that people can't even handle. So I don't really know my emotions to ever be understood externally. I just try to implant my wants in other people's brains manipulatively. I want other people to know what I want. It's just that I don't want to have to say them. Being a Christian, I want other people should figure out everything that I know. Like other people should be reading my minds, like reading my mind. People do read my mind. Like as a Christian, other people should read my mind. Like I expect that out of them. Other people know everything I do like already, but it's because like it's because of the higher standard I hold myself to, and because I can't intentionally do or think anything without it having huge ramifications. And so it's like, it's picked up on. Everything I do is picked up on by other people, because like, I just have that way about me that other people know that something's wrong with me if something's wrong or whatever. Like people can read my mind, me being a Christian, like, and they should be able to if they don't. And like, I would expect them to. I would expect them to hold me to the standard of not having any flagrant thoughts or being controversial in my thinking. I mean, I'm not controversial in my thinking because I'm a good person. It's like, but as a Christian, you know, I prayed a lot. I've read the Bible a lot. I'm Christian a lot. I'm very Christian as a Christian. But depending on how Christian I want to be, how convicted about it I want to be. Like if I'm really Christian, then I'm really convicted about it. I'm really praying a lot. I'm really looking to God for guidance and trying to be more like God with everything that I do. I'm always trying to be more like God, and I'll say that a lot and say that it's only about what God wants me to do, and that like really it's that everything is very simple when I realize that I have to trust in God, and that's just the simplicity of life, is that I just have to trust in God, because that's what's simple for me. And I pray, like as a Christian, I've been saved many times. I keep getting saved. I'm always saved. I'm saved again. Like I'll get saved again, because I don't really, even though I know that you're saved once and God, you're God's child and you're in heaven for eternity, it's still kind of unclear across a Christian church, like, because you'll still hear some people be like, well, your works need to reflect it or else you're not saved. So it's like, I'm always getting saved. Like I'm always praying the prayer, and I'm always getting saved, and always making it so that I'm good with God again. But like because I'm always getting saved, it's kind of like I'm never really saved. It's like I'm never really a Christian. But that's just part of being a Christian. You're never like Christ. You can't ever be like God, you know. I'm never actually like Christ, so I'm a Christian. Like I'm always attempting to be something. I'm always never something. I'm always never anything. And so my life I exist to attempt to be perfect. Like I'm perfectionist, and the problem with being a perfectionist when you're a human is that you never arrive at perfection. But I just like never arrive at whatever it is that I want to be, and I don't communicate what I want in reality. It doesn't exist externally. I'm not able to do anything to prove to myself that I am what I want to be, or am becoming what I want to be. Like, because what I want to be is outside of the realm of what I'm allowed to be, first of all. So I'm not gonna do things that are outside of the realm of what I'm allowed to be, and there's a lot of things that I can't do, and there's like, but like, so what I want to be is never really something that I am, and so I'm always trying to be a person. I always wish I could be like the people around me and just be like a person and understand, like, just have the same wants as other people. I always just want to be equal with other people, but I'm already above them, or I see myself below them, above or below them, kind of both, just not equal with them. Just that's the important part of it. I'm not equal with other people, and always am trying to obtain that equalness as a Christian, the same way I'm always trying to obtain some sort of status with God, where God finally accepts me, like, as a Christian. Like, as a Christian, as being a Christian, like as somebody who is Christ-like, I'm always trying to be like Christ. I never arrive there. Um, I never arrive there, and I never equal with other people. But it's just kind of because other people are allowed to embarrass themselves, and I'm not. But I'm not able to embarrass myself because Jesus died on a cross so that I didn't have to. Is why I can't embarrass myself. Is why I keep singing about the cross or wanting to talk about the cross in my life, and like even more so than that I would ever emphasize that Jesus rose again, is that he died on a cross. Because I'm fascinated with the cross. I'm fascinated with death. I'm fascinated with failure, with embarrassment. I'm fascinated with it to the extent that like I say that as a Christian, I can't process embarrassment. What I mean is that I can't fully process embarrassment. I can't fully process failure, because that would mean that I was fully like Christ. And as long as I'm a Christian, the significance of my Christian walk is that I'm never actually like God, but always attempting to be like him. And as long as I'm always attempting to be like him, I'll never be able to reach objective humiliation the way that Jesus did. As a Christian, I already believe that Jesus died on a cross so that I don't have to, face objective humiliation. I mean, I don't ever have to go out on a limb and take entire responsibility just for myself the way that Jesus did. I sing about the cross, I talk about the cross, that's what I emphasize about Jesus' life. That's the most significant thing about Jesus to me as a Christian, is that Jesus died on a cross. And to the extent that I want more of the cross, like I see the cross, like the cross is always part of my life. I see that in all the churches that I go into. It's a symbol on all the churches, is the cross, rather than predominantly much more that than like an image of a stone rolling away. Because I'm always trying to figure out what it means to be objectively embarrassed. Like I can't lose in a fight that I actively participate in and be embarrassed in that way. Because objective embarrassment is for people in the world. That you would be able to think about celebrating embarrassment, that I would be able to see embarrassment in a positive light at all, that it might be positive that I am embarrassed or that I fail to the extent that Jesus did. Like I'm not really allowed to approach that. And so there isn't any embarrassment in the Christian church. There isn't failure in the Christian church. I mean, even when Jesus died on the cross, I will emphasize, I'm gonna emphasize that Jesus' physical death rather than the emotional pain he went through. Like Jesus was objectively humiliated was just as important the point of Jesus dying on the cross, because the only way you obtain objective humiliation is if you tell everybody that you're God and then manifest that in real life. You perform miracles in the name of being God. You say that you're God. You're like, that is my identity. He claims the identity of God by saying that he's I am. And then he dies humiliatingly just as a regular person on the cross, with everybody looking on, knowing that, not knowing what he is, what his identity is really, but knowing for sure that he's not God, because that's the only thing it would ever appear like, as long as the other humans are just humans and they see other people to be either liars or truth tellers. You know, all that anybody knew Jesus to be as he's dying on the cross is the biggest liar possible, and he's as exposed as you can be, because in order to be the most exposed possible, you tell people that you're God, and then you're proven unequivocally to be a man, because those are opposites of each other. I wish, I wonder what it's like to be embarrassed or to be okay with total failure, total humiliation, be like another person in the world who just sees failure or humiliation alongside other ideas, because as not necessarily a Christian, I would view humiliation as just something else you go through. It's just something else, embarrassment that you have to overcome. And I would see it as that I have a chance to be something new if I totally die on a cross. You know, if I totally have to burn away what I was and then become something else. If I have to totally change because my identity before was exposed. If I have to, I'm capable as not necessarily a Christian, of letting my identity be entirely exposed and having to start over again, facing objective humiliation, or taking the responsibility individually for something I say to the extent that it kills me, or that other people see it as a total failure, that I did everything wrong, or that I failed, that other people would see me to have failed in any situation. But like, I'm not going to approach, as a Christian, I'm not going to approach that I could totally fail or totally expose myself or say something really meaningful to me that just comes from me, out of my reaction, out of my whimsical emotions, and out of my passion for things, that reveals who I am. I'm not going to reveal who I am because Jesus did that so that I don't have to. That's part of the theater, is that I always want to be a person, but instead what I come across as is just somebody performing as a person, or performing in a show, in a play, in a way that other people know that I am in a different place than them, or that like I'm orating something to them, that I'm on a stage, I'm on a stage, other people aren't. That's the theater I go through as a Christian. I'm on a stage. I don't get to join in the crowd with them. I don't get to laugh at my failures or see my failures as valid. I just know that if I do commit failures, they're failures that are committed on a stage and are therefore just 100% a fuck up. Like I forgot a line or something. Like I forgot a line, like that's obviously a fuck up because it wasn't in line with everything that I was already supposed to say. As being somebody in a performer, like in a performance at all times, I have to follow the script. The script is already laid out for me, and I have to follow it to a T. And to the extent that I'm not following it, things have entirely gone to shit, because there's only one way that I get to be, and that's the way that that it's already laid out for me, the way that the creator of the play, the author of the play, has already decided the play to go. So I'm on a stage trying to carry out exactly what the script is, and what's different from a regular play is that I don't even know the script, but I'm trying to figure it out, and it gives me tons of anxiety when I'm unable to figure out the script, or unable to figure out the single way that I'm supposed to go in life, because then I'm not doing what I'm supposed to, and I'm not doing what I'm supposed to if I can't figure out the script, if I'm not trusting the author, not trusting the situation enough. And like, it'll give me tons of anxiety if I'm not able to figure out the one plan for my life, because that might show that I don't belong on the stage at all. And as being a Christian, my life is being on the stage, and I don't know what my identity is if I'm not on the stage. If I have to see, like, what would it mean that I would see myself as an audience member that's able to see embarrassment alongside surprise, happiness, anger, confusion, that I'm allowed to see embarrassment or anger alongside other emotions? Like I'm somebody, like I don't get to be somebody who's watching somebody else. As a Christian, I am the person being watched. I am on the stage. I don't partake in other people's realities or appreciate them. I don't appreciate other people or see what they have, what they're putting into the world. I don't watch them. People watch me. I'm on a stage as a Christian. And as a Christian, I'm titled a Christian. Like I get saved, I am born again as a Christian. That is the new title that I take first and foremost, that I represent myself with in the world, and that makes me separate from other people, is that I'm a Christian as titled, because that's what I seek to be. I seek to be like Christ, where other people don't. That's what makes me separate. That's what gives the religion value at all, is that I aim to live a separate life because I'm a Christian. That's my title first and foremost. But not necessarily as a Christian. I was born as Matthew Connor, and my timeline as Matthew Connor will entirely engulf the timeline of me as a Christian, because I was born as Matthew Connor before I was born as a Christian. I was Matthew Connor before I was a Christian, and I will always be Matthew Connor longer than I was a Christian. And what's miraculous about me is that I was born as Matthew Connor. Is not that I was born as a Christian, as not necessarily a Christian. What's miraculous about me is that I was born into the world as one out of infinite things at all, that I am this person with this ability to react specifically my way with my valid emotions, that I want to manifest as my wants in the world for other people to see, that I get to reveal myself to be anything because I am specifically something, like that I am transcendently anything at all. Is just that I am myself, and it's just that I'm what my name was, because it's miraculous to be born as something that you're this always, when like before you were born, the chances of you existing as this exact DNA, like this exact person, was pretty much impossible. Like nobody could have crafted that besides God. That's why it's miraculous to be born as something. It's not miraculous for me to decide to label myself as something else and superimpose a label Christian over what I already was. It's not miraculous for me to make a choice to be something and identify myself a certain way. It's not miraculous to take on an identity. As not necessarily a Christian, but as a Christian, I remain a Christian. I remain within the bounds of being a Christian, and I don't allow for myself to be totally embarrassed, or allow myself to, and I don't allow myself to let my own emotions carry me to say things that could be perceived by Christians to be objectively embarrassing.